Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Riley Lewis, filling in for Kara McKinney. Despite the partisan attacks from radical Democrats, President Trump continues to become even more popular with voters across the entire country, sea to shining sea, including in key swing states such as Georgia. To that point, Trump is currently leading Joe Biden by 5 points in Georgia, according to a new poll from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where 43% of likely voters in the state are supporting President Trump, and only 38% are supporting Biden in this year's presidential election. And speaking of the upcoming election, the first presidential debate between Biden and Trump will take place this Thursday night. And I believe the moderators will do everything possible to make Trump seem like the bad guy. The liberal establishment can't stand the idea of a second Trump term, and that's why they're intensely preparing Biden right now for the debate at Camp David to make sure that he can hold his own, so to speak. According to the New York Times, Biden has spent the last several days getting ready for the debate by reportedly practicing his remarks on a mock stage that was installed inside of an airplane hangar. Apparently, his staffers are working on a strategy, and especially when it comes to defending himself against criticism from Trump. But I think this is a pointless exercise given Biden's indefensible track record in office. Meanwhile, as Biden learns just how to debate his top opponent, Trump is traveling around the country to give speeches and host massive rallies for thousands of people, which means Trump doesn't need any practice for Thursday's debate. And on that note, there's a lot of speculation about who Trump will pick to be his running mate, and we could find out on Thursday, because Trump told an NBC News reporter on Saturday that he knows who his vice presidential pick will be and said that they will most likely be there. Now, I'm personally hoping that he picks J.D. Vance, but regardless of who he picks, I'm extremely eager to vote for him for a third time. Joining us now to discuss is radio host and OAN contributor Andrea Kaye. Andrea, thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to start. I really am trying to figure this out. How could anyone in their right mind vote for somebody like Joe Biden for president when the guy can't even handle a simple debate without a week's worth of prep or more?
That's a great question. How could anybody vote for him in any regard, even if he was up for the challenge, even if he was as good as the great communicator Ronald Reagan, even if he was as slick Willie Bill Clinton, even if he was as smooth as Barack Hussein Obama? Look, his resume, you look at what he's done. Rand Paul said correctly that his criminality as associated with the open border that he orchestrated should disqualify him alone. And when you're talking about Georgia, it should be far higher percentage on in Trump's favor. And I don't really know the ins and outs of that polls, but don't you think it should be even higher in Trump's favor, given the fact that that's the neighborhood where Laken Riley, Georgia, that's the state where Laken Riley was murdered by one of Biden's boys?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm also trying to figure out, to your point here, you look at everything Biden has done, everything he's touched, not one single accomplishment. Everything he touches seems to fall apart. He's like King Midas's really unlucky second cousin or something. Literally everything he puts his hands on falls apart. So I'm wondering, this debate, do you think that it's even going to make a difference? Let's say Joe Biden comes out swinging. He's got all the propaganda lined up. He's got people in his ears feeding him talking points. Do you think it's even going to make a difference? Because my mind was made up for Trump a long time ago, and I think most Americans are trending toward Trump right now. So is this even really going to make a difference for Biden?
I think it might, but in a different regard than what many people are thinking. I don't think that your diehard. A poll came out last week, let me say it this way, to where the majority of Biden voters in response said that to a poll said that they weren't voting for Biden, they were voting against Trump. So in that regard, your anti-Trumpers are not going to switch regardless of anything that happens in the debate. And your diehard, Trump MAGA people certainly would never consider voting for Joe Biden. And I think the independents have already switched and gone to Trump as well. I think, as many people have said, that this is some sort of litmus test. There's a reason why the Democrats decided they needed this debate so early. There's never been in history a presidential debate before the conventions. So why now? I think it's because it is a litmus test for the Democrats to see